Hello, ninjas, and welcome to another episode of the Exposure Ninja Digital Marketing Podcast. My name's Tim, I'm the host, and I'm also head ninja at Exposure Ninja, which is a digital marketing agency in the UK. This show is all about helping you to generate more leads and sales online. And in a slightly different vein this week, I'm very proud to introduce Peter Shankman. Now, Peter's an extremely varied individual. He's done a huge number of things in his life. One of the things that he is most well known for is for starting the journalist inquiry service, Help a Reporter Out. And if you're a long-time listener of the podcast, you'll know that services like Help a Reporter Out are a great way of getting visibility for your business through journalist publications, so newspapers, magazines. Peter started this after running a PR business. So I got him onto the show primarily to talk about that, but he's also got some really interesting insights around customer service. And he's also a very proud owner of an ADHD brain as well. So he's written a book called Faster Than Normal, which is all about how we can all use the positive elements of ADHD and how we can kind of cultivate those. So we talk a bit about how Peter deals with his own ADHD and the positives of it, and how he kind of mitigates and protects himself from the downsides. And there's some really interesting stuff here, things about creating habits and things about, I guess, putting ourselves in situations where we are most likely to win, which I think is really interesting for anybody, no matter what you're doing in life. So I really hope you enjoy this episode. Slightly different to normal, but Peter's an absolute riot, and he gave me some very encouraging baby advice as well, as we're expecting our first anytime now. So hope you enjoy the show, and don't forget to head over to the Exposure Ninja website for show notes. That's exposureninja.com/podcast. Anyway, without further ado, enjoy the show with Peter Shankman. Peter, welcome to the show.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, where to start? You've had an extremely varied career so far, and I think lots of different areas we'd like to dig in. Perhaps we could start with Help a Reporter Out, because I think this is where you first broke through into people's consciousness. Is that right?
I had done other stuff prior, but HARO was the big one for me. I mean, prior to that, I run a PR firm, which is really how I started getting to connect with journalists all around the world, and that led to HARO. But yeah, HARO was sort of the game changer for me.
And you started HARO in 2008, sold it 2 years later, is that right? After it had grown very quickly and made quite a dent in the industry, I think it's safe to say.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely changed how publicists and sources found each other, or how sources and journalists, I should say, found each other. It was pretty amazing. I had a lot of fun, and I like to think I helped a lot of people. And
I suppose it spawned this whole journalist outreach thing, inquiry service thing, which today, obviously HARO's still around, and Gorkana, Response Source, companies like that. When you created this, from your background in PR, what was the need that you were addressing, and why do you think HARO took off so quickly?
Well, I talk to everyone. I have massive ADHD, and so when I'm on an airplane, unless you fake your own death, if you're sitting next to me, I'm going to know everything about you. And so for me, reporters would know that, and they, Peter, you talk to everyone. I'm doing a story on XYZ. Who do you know who does whatever? And it just it just became a matter of time. I didn't have, more and more reporters are calling me every day saying, "Hey, can you help me find this guy?" And I just didn't have enough time. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way to do this. And so I created Help a Reporter. And it was initially just a basic email list, and it sort of blew up from there. Pretty amazing.
Was there anything that you designed into the service to facilitate that type of viral adoption, or was it just literally so simple and it worked, so it grew?
What happens when you get in the media? What's the first thing you want to do? You want to share it with your friends, right? So you share it with your friends. Oh, wow, you're in the New York Times. How'd you do that? Oh, well, have this thing called you Help a Reporter. Holy shit, well, I should try that. This is amazing. There you go.
I love it. We've got a lot of listeners who absolutely love relationships with journalists because it gets their business, whether it's for SEO purposes or just general awareness. I'm curious, do you have any opinions on where you think the journalist-brand relationship is going next? A lot of these publications are, the journalists are scared of companies like Facebook updates, dwindling ad revenues. What do you see coming around the corner for these guys?
Yeah, we're seeing more and more, journalists have to do 10 times more with 5 times less. So I think what we're seeing a lot of is the journalists, their abilities to do whatever it is they do are really being impacted. And so I'm finding that the more journalists I work with on any capacity, the more I stay in touch with them, the more they can use really good quality sources. So it's because they might be working on a political story one day and then tech the next, right? So it really comes down to understanding what the journalists are doing and then figuring out how you can help them. The job of anyone looking to get press is not to get press. The job is to make the reporter's job easier. The second you do that, everyone else, your job is simple. The second you make a journalist's job easier, you start getting media.
It feels like that's something that's really overcomplicated a lot of the time. It's almost like the journalist is put on this big pedestal. They're completely untouchable for a lot of business owners, whereas actually how you've demonstrated with HARO and what you've just said is as soon as you give them what they need, and as soon as when we do outreach, if we just give them as much content as we possibly can, we give them the source, we give them, the byline that they can use. The more we give them, the more likely they are to use it. Right? It's literally that simple.
It's not rocket science. You really just be a little bit better. Just be a little bit better than what's expected. And let's face it, the majority of people are not good at this.
Now, you wrote a book, just keeping on the PR theme. You wrote a book about outrageous publicity stunts. I can't have you on the show without asking, what's your favorite publicity stunt of all time?
Oh my God. I mean, overall, I'm a fan of old school. I still love something as simple as War of the Worlds. But, I think about, 10, maybe 15 years ago now, when the Mir space station crashed back into Earth, Taco Bell put a 1 mile wide target in the Indian Ocean, floated it in the Indian Ocean. So that if any part of Mir hits this, everyone in the world gets a free taco. It was brilliant. So much press.
That's so good. Do you think publicity stunts are the sort of thing that could work for our audience of small and medium-sized businesses, or is it just too big and that's for the corporates?
No. A publicity stunt can work for anyone. The key is to understand that a stunt for the sake of a stunt is pointless. You want to do a stunt needs to be done because there's value in it for the company doing it, obviously, and the people watching it. So, a great example is there was a movie that came out. I think when they rebooted the movie Carrie, a PR firm took over a coffee house in New York, and they hired actors to act as people getting coffee or whatever, and then they hired a woman, a female actor, and they hooked her up to a bunch of pulleys and rigs, so that, or they hired an actor, and then they hired this woman to have telekinesis. Right. And so the gag was that, and you can find it on YouTube. It's just Google Carrie coffee shop. And what it was is a guy would walk by the woman and spill her coffee, bump into her, and she'd spill her coffee all over her laptop. And she'd get really pissed off and go, dude, come on, it's just lap, sorry, And she'd go, get away from me. And she'd push her hands out, and the guy would fly back and fly up the wall, and books would fly off of it. And it was brilliant, because then what they did was they brought in regular customers. Right. And they had these regular customers in the middle of ordering a coffee. All of a sudden, the woman next to you flies up against the wall. It was brilliant. Right. And it made people laugh, and it went very quickly, got spread all around. Too many people focus on making things viral. And I think that's a problem. Don't focus on making things viral. Focus on making something good. Right. Making something good is going to go viral by default.
Yeah, that's a great example. I guess something like that as well, where you can bring people in, video the whole thing, stick it up on YouTube. That's going to get attention anyway, isn't it? You can't do that and it just go completely unnoticed.
Exactly. So create something great that people enjoy and they want to see. Then you have something.
I love that. On that thread of creating something great, I'm doing so well with the segues. You've focused lately a lot on customer service, and it's one of the topics that you're really passionate about. And the importance of customer service. Now, obviously, companies like Zappos have made customer service their kind of mantra. How can challenger companies, startups, listeners to the show, how can they make customer service something that they're actually known for?
I think one of the key things you could do is, simply respond. So many people who complain on Twitter, who complain online, they don't necessarily need to have their problem fixed. What they need is simply to be heard. Right. So I said like 60% or 65% of people who complain online don't necessarily need a resolution. They just want to know that they're heard. When I'm sitting on an airplane and there's a storm and we're not moving, we're stuck on the runway, I pretty much know we're stuck on the runway because I'm guessing because it's a storm. Right. I'm smart enough to realize that's probably why. But until you tell me, for all I know, a wing could have fallen off. Just tell me what's up. I know that's not your fault. There's a rainstorm. Just tell me, hey guys, look, there's a storm. We're going to be here for at least an hour. Yeah, it sucks, but then at least I'm not blaming you.
Yeah.
The problem becomes when companies don't respond or don't get ahead of the situation.
And I guess that response and the relationship that's built up there is actually a chance to build something which is closer. You can turn that inquiry round to your advantage, can't you? If you build a relationship with that person, you show that you're responsive and you show that you have their best interest in mind.
No question about it. And that's it again. It's not rocket science. It's very easy.
I think one of the challenges that a lot of listeners to the show have is social media in particular has made customer service such a broad thing, right? We can get a tweet, we can get someone message us on Facebook now, WhatsApp for Business, great, another channel that customers can contact us on. You've got email, you've got phone, and it feels like this big cloud where customers are coming in from all sorts of different directions. How do we kind of cope with that? What are some ways that we can think about this, which is just we're going to reduce the overwhelm?
I think one of the best pieces of advice, understand where your audience is, right? The biggest thing you can do is to understand where you are and where your audience is. So many people jump online, they start doing, we should have a Facebook page and Twitter handle, we should do this and that. And that. Well, where's your audience? If you don't know where your audience is first, the chances of you finding them and doing good stuff for them is very, very limited. Focus on where your audience is first, and then figure out ways to reach them. And the best way to do that is simply to ask them, where do you hang out? Where do you go online? What do you do? Again, it's not rocket science. I'll give you a perfect example. So I am a junkie, hands down, a 100% addict for something called Peloton. And Peloton is, in the US, it is a bicycle that is connected to the internet and allows me to take spin classes live 24 hours a day, blah, 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 from my home. I am a junkie. It is. I'm that guy who, when you're on the airplane and the plane's going down and the flight attendant screams, "Oh my God, is anyone a pilot?" I go, "Well, I own a Peloton." I'm that bad. So here's why Peloton is so great. They, at the end of the day, it's a spin bike, but they understand that there is an audience. Right? The people who use that bike have really created a community. They have created their own community on Facebook. They obviously, Peloton has its own, Facebook page, right? But everyone in the Peloton group has created their own sort of spin-off communities. There's the 4 a.m. Peloton riders. I'm part of that group because I'm up super early, right? There's the Peloton After Dark riders. I'm a member of the Jewish Peloton. Are you kidding me? There's like. But Peloton understands that, and they cater to these people, right? And they like these people, and they treat them well, and they embrace the fact that they love their brand. And so because of that, they are growing faster than any other exercise platform currently out there. They understand their audience, they take care of their audience, and they let their audience feel like they are a part of this community, of this movement, as it were.
I guess giving them the freedom to set up those groups themselves and manage the groups themselves, as you say, keeps them invested in it, right? They feel like it's them building this thing.
No question about it. I mean, I remember back in, God, what was it? It had to be mid-90s. Fan sites for The Simpsons started popping up, right? And Fox, 20th Century Fox, started legal action to shut them down.
Oh.
And I'm like, what? And they nearly killed the Simpsons franchise from doing that.
That's madness, isn't it? You mentioned that Peloton takes care of these guys. What are some of the ways that it recognizes or encourages this behavior in its fans?
They always invite people to come out to the studio. They always invite people to come take a live class. They bring people out. They let them join. All the instructors are encouraged to stick around after the class and take pictures with any of the people who want them, who want that, selfies, all that kind of stuff. They shout out their names in the classes themselves. It's those kind of things. And it really is pretty amazing how many people get addicted to this.
That's really interesting, because that kind of personal contact for something which could be quite making something like that face-to-face, when it's almost like the product has been designed to remove that face-to-face.
It's a damn exercise bike.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, it's a freaking exercise bike. Isn't that ridiculous? It's an exercise bike, and people are just junkies for it.
I guess the clue is in the name, Peloton, right? It's the group of riders. It's not
exactly
solo.
But it is growing like wildfire. The current number one blog post on my site by far, by a factor of like 3, is the piece I wrote about how I love my Peloton, like my addiction with it, like 11 days after I got it.
Wow.
It's just insane.
That's awesome. How do you see that approach, which is so clearly to invest in your customers and also almost to make influencers out of your customers, versus something like Amazon, where they're trying to remove as much of the need for contact as possible?
The easiest answer to that is that very few companies are Amazon. All right. Very few companies have that reach, have that ability. Very few companies are so ingrained into a customer's home and into a customer's life. I can go to 6 different spin classes. I can go to 15 different spin classes in Manhattan. I could buy 3 different home bikes if I want. Why do I go back to Peloton? Because they get me. I feel connected to them. But, here's the thing. What Peloton's doing is they're letting their customers speak for them, which is so ridiculously powerful. And here's why. No one believes how great you are if you're the one that has to tell them. And the best example I can give you, if I walked into a bar and I saw a woman there, I'd never seen her before, and I walked up to her and said, "You don't know me, but I'm awesome. So just finish your drink and come home with me. I'm that good." She's going to throw her drink in my face and go back to talking to her friends. I've done research. That's exactly what she did. But
you've well tested that strategy.
Exactly. Yes, definitely. But on the flip side, if I'm sitting there just playing, crosswords with friends, whatever, on my phone, and the woman's friend says, "Oh my God, that's Peter Shankman. I've heard him speak. He's a single dad. You're a single mom. You guys both love cats. I've met him. I'm going to bring him over and join us. You would love him." At the very least, I'm getting a warm intro to this woman.
Yeah.
How much stronger is that?
I guess the other difference between something like Amazon and Peloton is that Amazon is really just commoditizing, but it's offering a better solution for.
Exactly.
Whereas Peloton is it's a real passion thing.
If I don't buy cat food, if I don't get my cat food, I'm going to have a serious problem. I have a cat who's really more pissed off than he usually is. So I go to the easiest way to do that. Peloton, if I don't get on my bike, I'm going to get fatter, or fat, as it were. I used to be fat. I'm going to get fat again. And I don't want that to happen. So give me a way to do it that excites me and makes it fun.
Yeah.
There's nothing fun about ordering cat food.
No, it's very true. It's very true. So I guess for listeners, if you're looking to build a kind of passion business, then that customer service can extend into building this kind of community, very much like Peloton.
Exactly. No question about it. And, there are people out there who love Amazon. And look, I'm an influencer for several different companies, right? But they have to be companies I care about already and like already.
Yeah, but no one's going to write a blog post on how much they love Amazon after 11 days of using it, are they?
Actually, ironically enough, I was using Google Shopping Express, and I just had a kid about 5 years ago, and I was buying 1 box of size 5 diapers, and instead they sent me 5 boxes of size 1 diapers. And in New York, 5 boxes of size 1 diapers is about my apartment size. So it was a Saturday morning when they're delivered. I'm like, I'm screwed. How am I going to get rid of these? What am I going to do? I lost. I sent an email to just the address that the delivery notification came from. Within 5 minutes, a human being had emailed me back and said, "Oh, our fault. We're sending someone over to pick them up. We're sending you your new diapers." Da, da, da. This is Google.
Wow.
If Google can do this, what excuse do you have? That's like God coming to me and say, "Okay, you have the power to levitate your cat. Go." This is Google. If Google can handle this, why can't other businesses?
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. And I'm not being fair on Amazon. I mean, their returns policy and all of that, they've super automated it. They're really generous with it. So, they are offering customer service, aren't they? There's just no personality in there, I guess.
At the end of the day, though, if you do need a personality, you'll get it. You can talk to someone there if you have to.
Yeah. I want to change gear and ask you about Faster Than Normal, the book that you wrote about ADHD. I love how you've embraced ADHD and kind of help the people who, I don't know, you normally hear someone say people who suffer from ADHD, but I don't think suffer is the word, is it? You kind of help them celebrate the advantages that it gives them. What do you see those advantages being?
I have a brain that works differently than others. Mine is a much faster brain. I essentially have a Ferrari brain, but my brakes are from a 1927 Plymouth. So what I have to do is I have to take and do certain things every day. I call them my undeniable life rules. And by following these life rules, they allow me to live to the best of my ability and use that faster brain for all its speed. So I mentioned earlier that I'm on the 4 a.m. Peloton group. Well, the reason for that is I'm a single dad. If I don't work out in the morning, then I have a very bad day. that is pretty much a given. I have to work out. I have to get the dopamine, the serotonin, and the adrenaline to recharge my brain. ADHD means that you have less, your body produces less dopamine, serotonin, and adrenaline. So for me, I have to get those numbers up there. That's the line from Wolf of Wall Street. Those are rookie numbers, kid. Pump those numbers up, right? So I have to get my dopamine up on a regular basis. How do I do that? Well, I could take medication. I choose exercise. So I am on my bike at 4 in the morning, 3:45 in the morning, biking for a couple of hours every morning, do 30 or 40 miles. And I get off the bike and my dopamine's flowing. It's full, my adrenaline, my serotonin. That makes me better. Okay. So I'm aware that has to happen. The same thing, I eliminate choice wherever possible. I have two sides to my closet. One side says, it's literally labeled. One side says speaking and TV, and it's button-down shirts, jackets, and jeans. And the other side says office or travel, and it's t-shirts and jeans. That's it. Okay, if I had my sweaters and my vests, I'd look in the closet. Oh my God, I remember that vest. Laura gave me that vest. I wonder how she's doing. I should look her up on Facebook. It's 3 hours later. I'm naked in the living room. I haven't left the house. So, you have to understand how your life works, and you have to make sure that you can work it to the best of your ability. And the cool thing about my ADHD is that it gives me, I'd say, anywhere from 3 to 4 hours of better productivity every single day. So I have a friend who is, there's a TV show called This Is Us. I haven't seen it, but apparently last night there was a huge episode after the Super Bowl. And I hear a text from her. I saw it this morning when I woke up, and she texted me at midnight. Oh my God, you got to watch the show. I know I was telling you about it. So amazing. 7 texts in a row. And it was 1 in the morning. By the time she sent her last text, she'd finished watching the show. And about 7 a.m. or 9 a.m., I was talking to her. She was texting me. She was in the office. And she goes, I'm like, oh, did you hit the gym today? She said, no, I can't figure out why I'm so tired. Well, it's funny, and I'm just like, it's not worth the argument. It's going to turn into a fight. I'm not going to do it. This isn't rocket science. How do I make sure I'm up at 4 a.m. to be on the gym? I go to bed at 8 p.m. I put my daughter down at 8 o'clock. I'm asleep at 8:15. Priorities, man. You choose the priorities that matter to you. And that's life. That's not ADHD. That's just life. Right. So I have chosen that there are certain things I like to do because I do better if I do them. That's all.
So it feels like there's 2 things you've said there. Firstly, you get the advantage of the quicker brain. And then the second thing is kind of limiting or knowing yourself well enough that you can limit any potential downsides of the fast brain.
Well, that's the other thing, right? I have most people have moderation ability. I don't. I have 2 speeds and only 2 speeds. My 2 speeds are namaste and I'll cut a bitch. And there is no middle ground there, right? And so I know that if I don't, I have to make certain decisions that prevent me from going down a path. I quit drinking because everyone's like, oh, just go to the bar and have 1 drink. Oh, well, shit, it's that simple? Screw me, right? How did I not realize that? It's not about that. I drink alcohol the same way I drink water, which is just really fast because it's in front of me. I'm not trying to get drunk, but if I'm at an event with a free bar, an open bar, yeah, I'm going to have several drinks. And am I going to get drunk and do some stupid shit? No, I'm not. But the next morning I'm going to wake up, and I'm not going to wake up as early, and I'm not going to go to the gym. And that just starts a cycle that I don't want, right? You ever you get home, you don't feel like cooking, so you order a pizza. You have a couple of slices, you put the rest in the fridge. It's called leftover pizza. You ever do that?
Mm-hmm.
I've never had leftover pizza in my life, man. Leftover pizza in my world is not a real thing. I order a pizza that comes, I eat the pizza, right? And so I'm aware if I don't want to turn into a guy who's 50 pounds heavier, which I was once, I don't order pizza. I deleted the Seamless app from my phone. Seamless is this app in the New York, in the tri-state area that lets you order food anywhere at the click of a button. And I've stopped doing that because it's just too easy.
So it feels like you have chosen a life of extremes in a sense that there is no path that could lead you astray. For example, you delete the app, you never drink. So it's like you choose the route that has extremes. I think
I'm also a licensed skydiver with over 400 jumps. So you're starting to see a pattern here. I subscribe to the War Games theory. Remember the movie War Games?
I don't know.
Okay, it came out with Matthew Broderick in the 80s. It was about a computer. It was about he was a hacker. He was a computer hacker who broke into NORAD and essentially almost started World War III. And the movie ends, it's a great film. The movie ends with the computer learning about nuclear war. And he says, interesting game. The only winning move is not to play. I've learned not to play. There's certain things that I'd love to play, man. I'd love to go out on a Thursday night and go get ripped with some friends. But, I as much as I'd love to do it, the consequences for me, I had a trainer once who said something that I always say. He said, Peter, a cheat day isn't supposed to last for 2 months.
Oh man, there's people feeling so guilty right now.
But you know what? Here's the thing. I'm not out to make you feel guilty. I'm not out to tell you you're doing the wrong thing, man. I wasn't ready until about 3 years ago to embrace this lifestyle. When I finally decided, I woke up one morning, I looked in the mirror, I was fat, I was hungover, I felt like crap, I was jet lagged. Look, this is bullshit. I'm done. I'm just done. I looked in the mirror, I just said no more, and that was the day. And that's really it, man. You come, but the nice thing about it is I've just gotten so much of my life back. I'm not this vegan guy who's running around saying you'd have to do this and that. I still love pizza, and I still eat it, but I eat it in situations where it can't kill me, right? I'll go out, if I want a slice of pizza, I'll make a plan to go out with some friends and have pizza. That's all.
Right. Get it. So a lot of this then is perhaps habit. My wife exercises a lot, like 4 hours a day, and she's pregnant now. She's 8 months and she's still doing it. And people stop her in the gym and say, how can you do this? And for her, it's such a habit that to not do it is upsetting and distressing. Is this, and that's a habit that's been cultivated over years and years. Is it the same sort of thing for you? You're looking to make habits which are productive and be conscious of the habits which aren't productive. You just take it to an extreme.
I just know how I am, right? I know what happens if I stop working out for a few days. A few days turns into a few months. I know what happens if I start eating like crap. A few days turns into a few months. I like who I am better. And so call it habit, whatever. Everyone talks about resolutions. Resolutions fail. Rituals succeed. My ritual starts when the alarm goes off at 3:45 a.m.
Love that. One of the things that the reviews on Amazon for Faster Than Normal say is there's lots of people with ADHD saying, wow, you just completely get me. It's amazing how, I'm reading about myself on the page. But there's also a lot of people who don't have ADHD saying this book really helped me. So how can those of us who don't have ADHD maybe get a little bit more ADHD in the areas that it's really beneficial?
Well, again, at some point, you really just want to be able to figure out what's important to you. What do you want? What are your priorities? What do you love to do? How do you like for instance, I'm human. There are days I wake up and I just don't want to get out of bed, man. I'm tired. Last night was a perfect example. I didn't even watch. I watched the first half of the Super Bowl, then I went to sleep, and for some reason I woke up at like 12 o'clock in the morning and then started listening to the Philadelphia police scanner, which was just like crack because Philadelphia was burned to the ground. So I was listening to all that for like an hour. And of course, the alarm rang at 3:45 in the morning. I'm like, oh my god. So what I did was I thought they call it I've heard it called playing the tape forward. I thought about how I'd feel if I came home tonight and it hadn't worked out, right? How would I feel? Would I be happy? Would I be upset? Would I feel like crap? If I felt like crap, how would I make that get better? Well, I'd probably have crappy food. So now not only did I not work out, but I probably doubled my caloric intake for the day. Get your ass out of bed and get on the bike. And the hardest part of any workout is the first minute.
That's so true. Or even deciding to do the workout.
I sleep in my gym clothes. I do. I sleep in a t-shirt and jeans. I'm sorry, t-shirt and shorts and socks. I wake up, my feet, my bike shoes are attached to the bike, or my running shoes next to my bed. Done.
Love that. Peter, this has been absolutely fascinating. I know we've jumped around a lot, but I think it's because there are so many interesting things about you which people find really interesting. So where can people find out more about you and where can they check out Faster Than Normal?
So I am at Peter Shankman on all the socials, on all the social networks. Faster Than Normal is fasterthannormal.com. The podcast is on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Faster Than Normal, all the places you would imagine it to be. Yeah, at Peter Shankman everywhere. And my email is peter@shankman.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your expertise.
Pleasure was mine.